Welcome to the Weekly Hijack.
Hello, everybody.
This is Lost Edition. We are finishing up Season 2.
Live together, die alone.
At long last. So if...
Horrible episode.
if you don't care for podcasts where we gush about an episode the entire time, this is not going to be your episode.
Yeah.
This is one of the all-time greats.
Man, I mean, I always say it, but they can do finales on Lost.
The tension in this episode is probably... Even if, you remember most of what's going to happen. I mean, there were certain things I didn't necessarily
I forgot about the dynamite.
I remember there was something that surprised me, but we'll come back to it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Because there's a lot to unpack in this episode. There's Desmond, there's the hunt for the others, there's Michael, Locke being completely misguided again.
Can I just start with a summary real quick? What's amazing about this finale on many levels is that in this season, you have the hatch going, you have Ben, you have Michael, and all of this ties together. I mean, every strand they had this season basically comes together.
Possible exception of the tailgate, or
they've already killed them all.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
But I mean, a lot of the main questions they've had.
I mean, I guess
tied very well together.
I guess we did see Libby. That was one of the things I had completely forgotten.
Oh yeah,
about.
Yeah, we did see Libby, which was a nice, confusing.
It's like we got some insight into her backstory, kind of slipped it in there last minute, sort of.
It just raises more questions, but
I'd love to know what the story there was. There was a story there.
I remember reading online that some people think she was a Widmore plant or something like that because she shows up and finds Desmond and gives him the ship all very quickly.
Yeah, maybe start wondering about the timeline of things too for a little bit, partly because we see the one crazy army guy.
Yeah.
Kelvin?
Okay.
Kelvin
Inman. Yeah.
Right. And apparently Desmond had been on the island for 3 years or something, which possibly the combined loss of her husband and then loss of Desmond may be what drove Libby to the insane asylum for a time.
Yeah.
Which is possible. But still, Kelvin, I was trying to remember how far back his appearance in Sayid's flashback was.
That was the first time Sayid had ever tortured, I believe. I think it was pretty early in Sayid's
That's right. I think
plotline.
they said that was during the first Persian Gulf War, so that would be 91-ish.
Now, what I'm trying to figure out is he says he's part of Dharma. I'm trying to figure out, is he actually part of Dharma? He must be, because he doesn't seem to be with the others. But when did they kill the Dharma people?
I felt like that would have been before
Kelvin.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they have the Dharma drops, and I mean, Ben kept Dharma running to a certain extent.
Yes, he kept a lot of Dharma off-site stuff running. I mean, we saw that just in the
maybe he got Kelvin, needed people for these things.
And it's possible Kelvin knew Dharma wasn't around any longer, or didn't really have any connections with Dharma. He was just kind of being facetious.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
To the orientation.
It's hard to know how much he's lying and how much he's crazy, and
Radinsky, he was left over from Dharma, the guy he kept talking about.
Oh yeah, because we see him, don't we?
Yeah, we see him in season 5.
That's right, I forgot that.
I mean, it's funny.
He's crazy. He's kind of crazy in even season 5.
Well, yeah, he is. He's kind of unhinged, but it's interesting. Kelvin talked about him basically figuring out how to do stuff. Well, I think Radinsky actually designed the entire hatch.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I had forgotten that. He knew more than even Kelvin may have remembered or knew.
Yeah.
But that's...
Anyway, we're way off track. Okay.
That's way down the road lore stuff.
Okay, so what do we want to start with?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about just going through the episode.
Okay, let's do that.
Bit by bit. Because, we could talk about Desmond's flashback, but it's intertwined so perfectly with... I mean, it's a great flashback by itself, but it intertwines so perfectly with the main story.
And it answers questions without people talking about answers. Where did this map come from? And,
Or what's with the... I mean, I guess people may still have questions about why they even bothered with the quarantine thing. But you see more background for that, and that how it really wasn't going on. It was sort of a way to keep people under control.
Yeah.
Seeing the tubes.
Oh man, that's nuts.
There's so many of them.
And I don't remember, and it works really well, but I don't remember the first time watching it the connection is basically very obvious that the Pearl was pure psychological profiling. And
the first time you see it, it may be one of those things that just kind of runs past you because there's just so much else going on in this episode.
But I mean, Desmond even next scene basically says, "Wait, what if you got it backwards?" I mean, they basically hit over the head. But there's just so much, first time watching it, there's just so many revelations constantly about how the hatch worked and about. Oh, wait, we don't know anything about Desmond before now. We hadn't seen him since episode 1.
No, episode 3 or 4.
Oh, I guess, he was there for a couple. You're right.
Yeah. But still, it is, for as an important character as he is to the overall show, it is kind of funny that he is in this season so little.
And it's a very interesting choice to have a flashback of a new character for your finale.
Yeah. I mean...
It works really well in this case.
It does. I mean, it's the first flashback we get that's not an oceanic survivor.
Yeah.
And so because of that, because you've got someone who is tied in more with some of the history of the island, or at least has more of a history with the island, opens up a lot of possibilities.
I mean, it's basically flashing back the hatch in many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, his flashback answers, it connects to the Jack.
Yeah.
That scene. It connects to Locke's pounding on the hatch scene. It connects to taking the airplane out of the sky.
Well, I mean, that's
insane.
That's still one of the all-time great reveals, I feel. First off, getting to see a taste of what the hatch failure looks like. Because this whole time, people, like you said, your sister Summer, she was convinced that the hatch was nothing, so she was probably with Locke. And then I wonder if when that first part happened, she's like, wait a minute.
And it's so great because it's like a foretaste. You're like, wait. If you're on the one side, you're like, I gotta rethink everything now. But you're still not completely convinced. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, earthquake,
or was it just a partial thing and would have stopped?
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know. On loss, anything.
But I mean, the fact then you've got that when he's looking at the printout system. That was that. I think I crashed your plane. Boom, go to commercial, and you're like, what?
I know, and that's just like one thing this episode. I mean, it's one of the biggest ones, but there's just so many little ones too.
Mm-hmm. So going back to the beginning because we talked a lot about.
So we did Desmond's flashback
mode. Cool stuff. I always think it's funny. Jack has zero competence as like a secret agent guy.
Yeah.
For as good as a poker player apparently is, he cannot keep secrets when it comes to like actual like
people, like emotional
subterfuge. Yeah, it's like if he feels betrayed, he cannot hold it in. And so I've often wondered, like, would their search party have been better off if Jack hadn't blurted out to Michael, well, we know they're coming. We know what you're doing and all this kind of stuff.
I don't think it would even matter because the thing is, he wasn't leading them to where Sayid thought they were going.
Yeah, that's true. Sayid's plan was a little flawed in the first place.
Yeah, because, everyone thought that's where Michael was leading, but Michael wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is lies. This episode is lies. All lies.
I wonder how many deleted scenes there are. For as much as they crammed in, I know I heard at some point there was a scene at some point where they were arguing about whether they should keep going. Like Sawyer wanted to go back because he felt like they were going into a trap, and they hashed it out why they kept going. Kind of established that a little bit more. I also wonder if there would have been a little bit more with Sayid and Sun.
Yeah, because they're just back on the boat when the sky turns purple.
And you kind of get the feeling that maybe Sayid would have come back, but it probably wouldn't have really added a whole lot.
No, not in this case.
Yeah, in some ways, it kind of felt like a way to get Sun and Jen in on the. Because they touched on a lot of characters in this finale, which you need. The world of the island has grown substantially since the last season finale.
Yeah.
When last season finale was still very much just about the survivors. Now we've got all kinds of other stuff going on, so they need to come up with new ways to involve as many people as possible.
I mean, it's a great way. So you have Desmond's boat, which is named after Libby, of all people. And our mutual friend. I wish I knew what the book was about. Wondering if there's anything there. But I just while we're on the boat and Jen,
I do like it. Occurs to me as entertaining that the Dharma tape was hidden behind turn of the screw, and then the key that saved everyone is an our mutual friend.
Yeah,
that's just clever titling. But anyway,
Turn of the Screw is an interesting psychological book. And then the statue foot.
Yeah.
We get to see. It's like as if there's not enough going on this episode. They're like, and here's this.
It's like we just like dropping these fun little teasers.
Oh, man.
Like, what could this mean?
What could this mean? And I remember just thinking, what is that? I mean, that's crazy. In the hostel, so we get Dharma speak for the first time.
Oh, is that the first time they mentioned the hostel?
Desmond might have mentioned it back in the beginning of the season, but
Yeah,
that's
possibly.
Dharma speak.
Yeah. You don't get a whole lot of that.
I mean, you just feel bad about... Okay, so you feel bad about Michael... Trying to go, they're doing the thing, and then Locke's basically. I mean, Echo about beats up Locke at the beginning there.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then it's sad that Locke's basically just crying there in the woods. And Charlie has really no compassion on him.
No, it's like, yeah, sucks, doesn't it?
I know. You punched me. Remember that back in my horrible episode?
Yeah. Oh, Locke is just such a sad little boy.
He is.
Some days.
And with that scene near the end, where it's like, I was wrong. It's like your whole life. It's so horrible.
Like his one time to shine in any ways was season 1. Up until the hatch, and up until he discovered the hatch, that kind of ruined his high point.
Yeah,
but
it's crazy. Okay, so they come in and Desmond can't get away. This is really good framing on their part. It's like, nothing exists. You can't get away from this place. And then Penny talks to him in his flashback like, how do you find me? With enough money, you can find anyone.
Yeah.
And in the very end, she has a lot of money. She found him, and it's like, we finally found it. So there's obviously, and Michael has this, you have to take the court. There's this nice frame is, you can't find the island.
Someone found
but
it.
You can, but
if someone's looking for you.
So first confirmation for people that people from the outside actually, that you can get off the island. That's not some sort of purgatory thing.
That's a very good point. That whatever happens in the island affects the outside world.
Yeah. Before then, we'd never had any outside contact afterwards. Always people came in from the outside. But even Desmond's entry was, you could argue he was dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Until then, you would have no idea. That's a good point. And I always think it's interesting... Widmore sponsoring this voyage around the world.
He's looking for the island.
He's looking for the island. He's always coming up with some
I didn't even think of that,
scheme until to track it down. Again, one of those little... I bet some people theorized about that until before they actually kept hinting strongly toward it.
Was that our first introduction to Widmore? They dropped his name. It's Widmore Industry Birth Control, remember? Or pregnancy test.
That's right. We saw that at some point.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff planned out. That's for sure.
They had to have known that he was part of the island history then at that point.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Which we don't learn about until season 5?
Something like that. Well, it's interesting. I was
4. It would have been the freighter.
I was rereading. I feel like I must have shown it to you at some point, or maybe you showed it to me. Something I linked to by one of the Lost writers who really only worked on like the first 2 seasons. I think Javier Grillo.
Oh yeah.
Something or other. But anyway, he commented how like sometimes they wouldn't have a fully sketched idea, but they had this core idea like they wanted to do with it. Like for a long time, like apparently J.J. Abrams wanted to include the hatch from like the very first episode.
Yeah.
But Damon Lindelof didn't want to do it until he had some idea. It didn't have to be a firm idea, but he wanted to have some idea of what would be in the hatch.
Yeah.
And so one day he came in and said, there's a guy down there that's pushing a button every 108 minutes or it'll destroy the world.
How you come up with that, I don't know.
And so that was the core idea they worked from. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they had a basic sketch of who Desmond was. Okay, who is this guy? Well, he went on a voyage around the world to prove himself to his...
I'm convinced with a show like this, I think you have ideas and contingency plans, and things either get clear as you write it or farther away. But you just
it makes sense. You start with a core idea of who this person is and what's going to be motivating them, and you kind of run with that. We do that with Children of the Wells.
And then you just make the connections because the characters have so many connections, anyways. You just start saying, oh wait, this and this and this and this.
It builds off of that core idea. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had picked out some names and like, okay, when we'll come up here, Widmore. How can we use that name somewhere else? Yeah.
And I wonder if they didn't I wonder if the Libby thing was thrown in so they could give some sort of conclusion to her.
Some sort of background, even though it's not much.
At least it gives something. you have more root in who she is, and that in some ways she lives on.
I guess.
Okay, not quite that, but what else? There's so much in this episode.
The scene. To go back real quick to the scene where Michael's true intentions are revealed.
Oh yeah,
that is such a tense I was trying to picture how to even get in that mind frame if you were to be acting in that scene, like that sense of betrayal by everyone.
And that Hurley, you know, like, it was an accident, but you would have done it anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Like, it's a hard scene to watch.
Yeah. I'm going to just jump around because I've lost the train of what happens where.
That's fine.
But
this is the spinoff of Derailed Trains of Thought.
Yeah, so it's always you get to the end on the pier, and you have Lady Q there and Mr. Friendly, and they like, she knows your beard's fake, and you told her my name.
Which I'm glad they called back to that at the very beginning of the episode, Kate saying like, look, I don't think they're really these natives. That's
and I think Michael still thought they were.
Yeah,
I don't know. Because even after they outed him, he thought, no, it's like I said, they were only have.
He may have still just been doing that as a way to
maybe, I don't know,
and maybe he might have done it a little bit to convince even himself.
Yeah,
but
because he never saw.
No, he never saw the rest of the stuff.
But so you have all that, and then Ben walks out. You know, first time he's not beaten up Ben. And he's like, where's your beard? And you know, I realize we know Ben really well, but that's the first time you would ever have seen him as in charge. He's not just some guy.
Right.
He's like the guy.
Yeah. I imagine some people would have speculated or would have theorized about that, especially since like in the scene where he's talking about the guy
great man.
The guy who's in charge. That guy, you know, the other guy's nothing. Some people wonder, what if he's really him? Because, you know, people wonder everything about Henry Gale.
Exactly.
Did they actually mention Ben's name yet? Is he still?
No, he's still Henry Gale
at this point. Oh, interesting.
I don't think until next season that we'd get that.
Get his actual name. Not that it's that much of a bombshell or anything.
But great conversation between Desmond and Locke about, you know, why do you push this thing? Why do all that sort of
the whole man of science, man of faith.
And when Desmond's it's just this is just great writing. You know, at the beginning he's writing all these letters to Penny, and none of them get to him. And Penny's like, why didn't you do you read your book yet? And he's like, no. And then he's there about ready to kill himself. And he opens his book, and there's the letter that she wrote to him that he never got. Yeah. Which is great parallelism, whatever. And that scene, he's reading it, and Desmond's a great character all around.
He really is. I mean, just you can tell why people fell in love with Desmond and Penny, like, almost immediately. Like, even though they don't have a whole lot of screen time together, the whole idea of their love is just so wonderful, and it just makes me excited for the Constant, even though we probably won't get to that for quite a while.
Oh man, the Constant's great. Or even the first one's not as good as the Constant's genius.
You mean the Desmond's first?
Desmond, yeah, that had some Penny and other crazy stuff. We don't need time stuff, right? It's interesting. They actually do explanation what the hatch does. They're down there with the failsafe. Man, it's really interesting to watch this now after knowing, you know, them talk about season 6 is kind of a hatch all over again, and you see that cave of light.
It looks so similar. It's like the same color even.
I know, and you know, and here's the thing: you have to release it so often, or you take it out and just blow the whole thing. When you take it out, and the whole island starts blowing up, and you know, maybe the rain's the releasing of the. You know, they talk about this. I know the island. They talk about there's water going in that all the time. Maybe the water is some sort of release. I don't know. I'm sure you make parallels of such things.
Yeah,
which is absurdly.
I've not watched season 6 since it first came out.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of like little tidbits in there that I don't remember that well. And it'd be interesting to re-experience them someday.
Yeah, we'll get to it there eventually. You're never bored in this episode. I mean, what is it? It's 2 episodes. How long was it actually? At least an hour and a half.
I forget. Yeah, so I think it's like 90. It's around 90 minutes, like without commercials. But yeah,
man, if movies move that well.
I mean, it's kind of one of those episodes where the commercial breaks might have been a little. Sometimes it would be like no, but other times they're like, okay, now did that what just happened?
Yeah, first time you're watching, you need them because it's just
you need to recover pretty much.
Random thought or question. Okay, it's very interesting. You got the last scene in Antarctica or wherever it is. And those 2 guys, they're playing chess. It's like, you took out my rook. Oh, I'm playing the long game. Oh, you're losing. Don't you think that's a call to a Jacob Esau thing?
Yeah, that could be.
Why else do you have 2 people playing chess talking about long games and losing a rook when you just blew up a hatch? And I don't know what it means, but I feel like it's got to be
maybe just like a callback to their backgammon analogy.
Yeah, and maybe moving forward, because at this point, they've dropped the foot there. I think they've got to have an idea
Yeah.
of two forces.
Well, and the idea that this has been going on for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we don't even get more into like the ancient history of the island for quite a while.
And I know it drives people nuts, but you never get all the ancient history.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of Egyptian stuff that it just implied.
I wonder how much fan fiction is out there about that sort of thing. Like, that seems like rife for like, you know,
we're
like
gonna spoil it. I mean, it can't be as good as the mystery of it.
Well, no, but I mean, like, it's interesting to imagine though, like the other struggles that took place over the island during that period. I mean, I don't think it would spoil it. I think it'd just be an interesting what if.
Yeah, and it's interesting that for a Hatch having as many questions as it did this season, I feel like this is a very satisfying ending to the Hatch.
It is.
You know, to have the back and the forth, and then you still don't know what happened at the end of the season.
Are Locke and Echo dead?
I know.
Who knows?
And it's funny they don't even touch
or Desmond, for that matter.
And it's interesting. I really thought this season ended. I didn't remember exactly how it ended. It wasn't like a hard stop ending, like we've got to go back or blowing up the bomb. You know, it kind of. It's a softer ending.
Yeah,
there's a lot of questions.
I know. I had forgotten that. You know, you almost expect if you were just going for the straight hard hitting Lost ending, it would have ended like right after the bag had been put over Kate's head.
Yeah,
like just boom. But then no, you got like this very nice scene with Charlie and Claire to kind of a comfort, like kind of a nice moment of
live together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's thematically really nice
and very cool. Then, of course, the thing with Penny and the Antarctic. Yeah,
that's your Lost ending there.
It is. Well, I mean, it's a Lost ending, but it's also very thematically because, like you said, the whole coming back to as long as you have one person looking for you.
I mean, think about this. You're writing it. It's 2 episodes. It's a movie length script.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2-3 weeks to write this thing in TV time.
I wonder though. They
had to have ideas and stuff, but still,
yeah, they probably. I mean, it's like one of those things. Sometimes when you get to a climax, when you're writing, it's easier because you've been waiting to do all this stuff. But I'm thinking
the thematic. I mean, it hangs together thematically, and tension builds. I mean, you got 2 or 3 plot lines going on, and they all build. I mean, that's amazing to write that fast. I would think. I don't know if this was ever nominated for Hugo or something. I know Lost probably was. I think the incident was.
The incident was
nominated for a Hugo.
I think possibly. I know The Constant was.
Yeah.
I think The Constant did it win? I think it won.
Constant probably did win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's just a great standalone episode.
Yeah.
Of Lost. Even it's got great mythology in it, but even without it, it's fantastic.
It's kind of sad almost that they get Echo and Charlie involved, but they don't actually do much. They're almost there just to.
They're another
tension.
force of tension, in some ways.
Well, and Locke's the and Echo's the don't do this is important, and then later on Locke's like, oh yeah, that. But I love when he just takes off Charlie's belt and throws it against the wall.
You think that is? Charlie's like, okay, I'm gonna leave now. Charlie's gung ho to get involved, but as he got farther, he's like, I'm not so sure this is a good idea.
It's interesting. If there is any, the quarantine thing lands there, which is obviously just neat when it blows up and comes down. But if there is any quarantine, it's electromagnetism. I mean, that's why the kids can't be weren't born on the island for a long time.
Yeah, that's true. So it was actually in some ways potentially more dangerous in the hatch?
Probably. Yeah, that's why. Well, that's why it was quarantine on the inside, didn't they?
Yeah.
No, wait.
Well, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm confused. Yeah. So I'm sure we missed 10 other things. The Hurley Bird and which is just weird, but
I think we've covered a lot of ground there, though.
And you get a little nice character moments. You get sick, pregnant son, and you get Sayid having time to do some of his prayers, and
I still think it's interesting. Again, I'd have to compare it to season 6 when I rewatch it. I'm always curious how much the electromagnetic energy relates to the light magic of the island. Like if there is some sort of, we talked about this, I think, in the question mark episode, just kind of speculating who benefited it most for the electromagnetism being released, Man in Black.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all very confusing.
Jacob did.
You wanted it gone?
No, but if you're playing a long game, again, who knows? You want a Desmond.
Well, that's true.
You blow up the hatch, makes a Desmond. or
If
super secret specials Desmond.
If that's what it was for, and then I guess. But I mean, okay, if you're going with the chess analogy, then and this is the long game, and Jacob was willing to sacrifice that, then why would Man in Black be pushing to get it destroyed?
To beat up Locke,
I guess.
I mean, because Locke, again, it's hard to tell. Yeah.
It's true. The whole plan may be more about the candidates than the actual pocket electromagnetic energy itself.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible. I just know that there were some theories that, like,
but he made
were the light inside the island and the electromagnetic energy were themselves related somehow. But I have no idea.
They might be. I mean, I think they are related, but I think the light is more than electromagnetism, but is part of. Okay. So is the whole time travel thing, and
that's true.
Healing and
all that
brouhaha. The endless life that projectors of the island get.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. The thing is,
there's no simple explanation.
There's no simple explanation. They don't actually ever tell you. It's just a lot of implications.
Yeah.
A lot, especially at that level. Because by the time you get to that level of what does this do or mean, they don't want. That's the sort of stuff they don't want to.
Yeah, that's true.
Talk about.
I mean, it is kind of like in some fantasy books, magic is just sort of a shorthand for like. And this is how this works.
Yeah.
Or Full Metal Alchemist. They don't really go in that much detail on how all these circles and things like form energy and stuff. You just kind of go with it. Yeah. Like you have a general idea how it works.
Yeah.
But
all right. That was for playing along. That's like a half a normal podcast.
Hey, this is a momentous episode.
It is a momentous episode.
And this will be the last time we deal with Lost for a little while. Weekly Hijack will be going on hiatus very soon, probably after Once Upon a Time finishes the season. Mainly so that I can focus a little bit on some other things for a while. Possibly we'll bring Weekly Hijack back when the next season of Once Upon a Time starts.
We'll see, yeah.
But it will be back, but we'll come back to Lost somewhere down the road. Yep. But it won't be for a while.
Sounds good.
But thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed listening through our season 2
and
rewatch.
enjoy Lost as much as we do.
Well, if you don't, I don't know why you'd be here.
Yeah, sad people. Just so our kids can write bad, like mean messages to us, like you're dumb.
But in lieu of this, you can probably hear us still talk about Lost a lot on our regular podcast, Derailed Trains of Thought, which can be found through iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube.
Yep, sounds good.
Until then, thank you, Lost people, and Live Together, Die Alone. We have to go back. I'm trying to think of other catchphrases.
Whatever happens, happens.
There you go. You know. And don't tell me what I can do.
Exactly. Thank you, Echo, for being the anti-Locke. It's kind of what he is. He's like Locke, but like whatever Locke believes, he's on the other side of it.
In some ways.
Okay, but anyway.
Wrapping up.
All right. Bye.
This is Tim.
This is Nick.
Bye.
I'll see you in another life, brother.